I never thought I'd find myself in such a situation. My wife Anna and I had been married for 6 years, and I always believed our marriage was strong. Sure, we had our share of disagreements and rough patches, but nothing that ever felt like it was out of the ordinary. Then everything changed one day. Anna told me she was heading out to get a tan and run some errands at Walmart and Target. It seemed like a routine trip, but as hours passed, I started feeling uneasy. When she finally came back, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She only had a small bag from Walmart, and her explanation for being gone so long didn't add up. Something in my gut told me there was more to this. Later that evening, still suspicious, I decided to check her phone. What I found confirmed my worst fears, a message from someone named Brad. It wasn't just a friendly chat. I found out that they'd planned to meet at a hotel that very day. I was really upset and angry. I confronted Anna right away. She was a bit reluctant at first, but she eventually admitted the truth. Brad was an old schoolmate who'd come back to town for work. He was part of a company contracted by Amar in Illinois doing some kind of job involving power lines and trees. She said that Brad had mentioned that his marriage was on the rocks. This became the foundation for their affair. I was in shock. Everything she said just felt like an excuse, a way to deflect blame. The more she talked, the angrier I became. It was clear to me that the damage was done, not just to our marriage, but to Brad's family as well. I wasn't about to let this stay hidden. I told Anna I was going to reach out to Brad's wife. She panicked, pleading with me not to involve her, claiming she didn't want to ruin Brad's family. But what about our marriage at that point? It was already in ruins. I ignored her protests and tracked down Brad's wife on Facebook, sending her the incriminating messages. I even gave her my phone number, knowing full well the storm I was about to unleash on her life. I didn't care. She deserved to know the truth. Her response was immediate. She called me, and the conversation was filled with tears and disbelief. She told me she had suspected something was off, but she couldn't put her finger on it until now. She said she'd been trying to work it out but hadn't been able to until now. She thanked me for telling her the truth and shared her plans. She was going to move in with her parents, taking the kids with her, until she could figure out what to do next. She was also going to confront Brad, but first she needed to let her family know what was happening. I turned back to Anna. I didn't hold back. I told her exactly what she had done, not only to me but to another family. I also asked her if she felt proud of herself for wrecking 2 families in a single day. Did she expect me to beg her to stop cheating? That wasn't going to happen. She had made her choices, and now she needed to face the consequences, just like Brad. But then things took an unexpected turn. Brad's wife confronted him, and he had the nerve to call me. He was furious, accusing me of ruining his life, and even challenging me to a fight. The audacity. I was pretty angry, but I kept my cool. I told him that he was the one who had messed up his own life, and that he had played a part in destroying my wife's life as well. I even wished him good luck in his upcoming divorce. As the conversation got more intense, Brad started talking tough, like he could easily take me in a fight. He had no idea who I was or what I was capable of. Maybe he thought that just because my wife cheated on me, I was some kind of weakling. I'd been training in Brazilian jiu-jitsu for years. I'd earned a brown belt and developed some solid striking skills. My buddies and I regularly attended classes, and we'd practice in my garage a few nights a week. When Brad threw down the challenge, I didn't hesitate. I told him to come on over if he really wanted to fight. After realizing that I might not win this confrontation, I was committed to giving it my all. A few days later, Brad showed up at my house, clearly ready for a showdown. As I stepped outside to meet him, I offered him one last chance to back down, but he was consumed by rage. He was in a state of mind that led him to ignore the reality of the situation. I saw an unbalanced guy who was about to get hurt. He could have avoided this pain by swallowing his pride, but he was determined to fight. The fight was intense, but it was never really close. I was really close to him, so I dodged his inevitable big right hand and quickly took him down. I mounted him and smothered him with my chest for about a minute until he wore himself out. Then I stood up, knowing I would never lay a hand on my wife, but I felt justified in giving Brad a beating for both of us. After a few minutes of raining down punches on his face, I stood back, leaving him battered and bruised on my front lawn while I remained completely unscathed. I pulled out my phone and started live streaming on Facebook to give everyone the lowdown on what had just happened. I told my audience that Brad had thought it would be a good idea to meet my wife at a hotel a few days ago. I also mentioned that I had called his wife, which was why he was there. When Brad showed up to confront me, I asked him how that plan worked out for him. He couldn't respond, he could only drag himself back to his car looking foolish. Meanwhile, my wife was on the front porch, visibly upset and crying. When I turned the camera towards her, she immediately ran back inside. I taunted her a bit, asking why she was leaving when it was clear that her dear Brad needed her. I ended the live stream by announcing that I had filed for divorce, reasoning that everyone would find out about it eventually. It was better to get it all out in the open. The reaction was overwhelming. I got a lot of thumbs up and hearts, as well as angry faces on my screen as viewers reacted in real time. By the next morning, the video had gone viral in our region. Brad, on top of facing the loss of his family, had become the laughingstock of the southern half of the state. 2 black eyes and an injured ankle served as visible reminders of his foolishness and arrogance. As for Anna, she was utterly mortified. I knew there was no going back, so that night I sent her packing. Looking back, I couldn't believe I'd been so blind to her true nature, but that's often how things unfold. I'm sharing this story in the hope that it serves as both inspiration and a cautionary tale. You never really know what people are capable of, and sometimes a dramatic event is necessary to reveal their true colors. It's also important to realize the full implications. Some might think my reaction was extreme, given the circumstances, but after investing a lot of time and energy into a relationship, only to have it destroyed by betrayal, I was surprised at what I was capable of. If you find yourself in a similar situation, my advice is this: don't hesitate to do what needs to be done. It won't always be easy or pretty, but in the end, you'll know that you fought for yourself. Respect and dignity. You might even find a new passion for martial arts along the way. I can tell you from experience that it's an excellent outlet for channeling anger and frustration into something positive. So to all those reading this, that's my story. I hope you found it as engaging and cathartic to share as I did. Here's to moving on and making better choices in the future. Oh, and I initially thought Brad's wife worked at Cracker Barrel, but I didn't mention that anywhere in my story.